Hello, friends. Welcome back to Dentistry's Growing with Grace. I have one of my favorite dentists and one of my favorite clients here with me today, Dr. Kim Goldenbaum. And we are going to be talking about what it means to be an unrestricted provider and really kind of dig into why Dr. Goldenbaum has made this decision for herself and her practice. And so, Dr. Goldenbaum, welcome.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Grace. It's always
My
good to meet with you.
My pleasure. So let's start off kind of uncovering some misconceptions about dental PPO plans and kind of talking and addressing some of the things that people may not realize about these, I'm going to say air quotes, insurances. So
Right.
what can you tell us about that?
So the misconception is that it is in fact insurance. We in the dental industry, we call it dental benefits because that's really what it is for the most part. It's a benefit given by your employer. It's something extra they want to provide for you. It doesn't cover everything. So these PPOs, basically, when you are a contracted provider, you agree to abide by their rules. And, it's everything from fees to what procedures you are actually allowed to perform. And those procedures may or may not be what is in the patient's best interest. And so, what I was finding, and a lot of my colleagues were finding, that it was becoming more and more difficult to give that quality of care to our patients, that we were able to spend enough time with our patients, use the best materials, give them enough care, give them tailored care to them. Like in my practice, I really strive to keep our practice small. When you come in, you always see the same doctor, the same hygienist, the same friendly faces. And being an unrestricted provider really helps support that atmosphere that I like to provide for my patients.
Well, you said something I think we need to go back to and touch on a
Okay.
little bit that
Okay.
if you're a contracted provider, so first of all, let's break that down and
Mhm.
define that because this episode, unlike most of my other episodes, I really want to be patient interfacing. I want people in general, not just the dental community, to really
Mhm.
understand what this means. So, what does it mean to be a contracted provider?
So it's what a lot of people do call in network, but it's not really that. Okay. It means that we abide to a specific set of rules put forth by the insurance company. We need to only we are only allowed to charge a certain amount of fees, which may or may not cover a higher quality of care dentistry that you may desire. It's not to put anything on that other people who do accept PPOs. It's just more of that might be a cookie cutter experience and not a tailored experience. So, for example, you come in and you're having an issue. You're having a tooth that is giving you some issues, some trouble. And me, in my 20 plus years of experience, say, okay, Mrs. Jones, you really just need to do XYZ. And when we go to do the work, submit a claim on behalf of the patient, the insurance company will say, well, we don't cover that. We don't think that that is a treatment that you need. So they're practicing dentistry without a license, basically.
Right.
You know,
And,
that
and what and I can just to add to this, I put myself in the patient's shoes and say,
mhm,
well, that is going to create some confusion with the patient, and I think intentional confusion on the insurance company's part because now they're saying basically they're putting the message to the patient that like you don't need this thing, but they were
correct.
not in that consultation. They did not
Right.
hear what was bothering said patient and what problem they were having and what they were trying to fix. And they're also, I think, not seeing the overall health of the patient either.
Correct.
Like as a patient myself who has certain health conditions, I have certain needs that other people don't have. Like I personally can't just go to the dentist twice a year. I need 3 or 4 appointments because I'm very susceptible to issues with inflammation and a manifestation of certain issues and oral health problems. And so I put myself on that routine, but I can do that because I'm an out of network patient. I don't have dental insurance kind of dictating what I'm allowed to do. So I'm paying out of pocket only for what I need, and that is determined between me and my doctor, not this third party kind of financial institution. And look, for those of you listening, like insurance companies, they make money. They make a lot of money. And they don't make a lot of money by approving everything. They're going to become more profitable if they make you really fight for this reimbursement and really make it difficult to get things covered. So logically, you could see that perspective and go, well, if I want the highest quality of care, maybe I should consider going out of network as a patient and then interviewing doctors that and finding one that I think is going to be best fit for what I'm looking to achieve with my overall and oral health. And so to tell the patient, patients don't realize this, right? Like if I do have a PPO, I have insurance, I have dental insurance. I can still go to an unrestricted provider, right? I mean, I think a lot of
Yes.
people don't even realize
Yeah, they
that
think
yeah, just because they
automatically.
have it, they have to choose a dentist that's in network. They don't realize it doesn't work like that. So can you tell me a little bit about how it works for a patient who has insurance and
Mhm.
wants to utilize their benefits with you?
Sure. We find, for our patients that are, want to come with us, irrespective of what their insurance plan or dental benefit plan will cover, basically, they can receive still a high level of care. We still submit it for them. Either myself or the patient still gets reimbursed. It's kind of a mindset set forth by the insurance company that you have to go to an in-network provider, else you're going to get stuck with a huge bill and you don't know what's going on. Well, we work with our patients to really let them know what their responsibility will be and what the reimbursement will be, so that, they can still receive care without being uh, worried that they're not going to be left holding the bag.
Yes, yes.
Basically, they're, I don't want them to think, we, even in our practice, we will try to find out what that level of reimbursement, because some of the insurance companies, unfortunately, will not pay us. They will only pay and that's also to deter them into going into an in-network provider.
Yeah.
Everything they do is try to to limit their risk.
Right, right. And so if I'm a patient and
Mm-hmm.
I choose an unrestricted, sometimes called out of network, sometimes called fee for service
Mm-hmm.
dentist, right? And I see what I need. You can estimate what the insurance will
Mm-hmm.
cover, and you can estimate, and it's usually pretty close, and you
Yes.
can estimate what the patient's portion, if any, is going to be.
Right.
And so before they even move forward with treatment, they
Mm-hmm.
have the understanding of, okay, well, if I go to this unrestricted doctor, one, she might be able to spend more time with me.
Mm-hmm.
Two, she might be utilizing a higher quality of material, higher quality labs. She might be investing more in technology. So now I have a more comfortable and accurate dental experience as well, because you don't have this tight restriction on um, everything that you do because of that contract that you
Right.
signed. And so there are a lot of people out there that I see, even in my local community, that are like, I really just need a good dentist. Oh yeah, and takes XYZ insurance.
Right. Right.
And
Right.
I'm constantly going, oh, if only you
You
knew. You
knew.
can actually pick any dentist you want. You can go to the
Right.
best one in town, and your insurance, your benefits will say are still going to be applied, and you're still going to get the value of them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and without that restriction in
Right.
place.
Right. So that, the quality of care goes up exponentially, especially I think the number one thing that patients get from an unrestricted provider is access to our time. That's really our, that I'm going to spend that time and really figure out what is your concern. What can we address for you today? That I think is the number one benefit, I really say, because in this healthcare world where, all appointments, whether it's your physician, your dentist, they seem to be getting shorter and your wait's getting longer. In an unrestricted provider, you almost have unrestricted access to us.
Yeah.
It's that's really what it is. It's that time we're going to listen, because we're not worrying about the five other patients in the other room that we have to do to make the system work.
Right. Yep. And what advice would you give to a patient that's looking for a new dentist and they don't fully understand this in-network, out-of-network
Mm-hmm.
thing, but they've gone to a few dentists, they've had an experience maybe where they felt like someone said they needed something they didn't need
Mm-hmm.
or hurt them because they were rushed. Like what
Mm-hmm.
advice, what maybe could they ask or should they consider when they're
Absolutely.
looking for a new dentist?
Absolutely. They really should be asking, how much time they're going to spend in the new patient appointment. Am I going to see the doctor first? Is there a hygienist that's going to see me in addition to the doctor? Or, basically, am I booked alongside other patients where they're trying to hop from room to room? These are all really great questions, because when we have time to really address your needs, and if you have any fears or concerns, maybe you've not had such a great experience, we can really take our time and not rush our patients. Make sure you're fully numb, not going, oh my gosh, they're not numb. Well, we better go. We got to do it anyway, because that happens, and not in my practice, not in those are the questions that you really need to ask. How many patients does your office see? How many doctors are there? You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah, and even going into your individual concern. Like if
mm,
your main issue, your main concern is the appearance of your smile, you might ask about the doctor's experience with veneers or
mm-hmm,
coming up with an overall smile plan. You might even ask for a consultation or
right.
a remote consultation to just ask all those questions, get those concerns out, even plan that conversation with the dental team so that you feel good about your first appointment because you're investing in your health, you're
Mm-hmm,
investing in your dental experience when you go out of network, when you choose an unrestricted doctor. So, ask all the things you need to ask to feel really good
right.
about it. And also, I just want to say, I think the difference in fees a lot of times are not as catastrophic as people think. I
Mm-hmm,
think they're sometimes they're similar to what they would be paying for those benefits. So sometimes you can go back to your employer even and say,
yes.
can we drop this dental benefit thing and can that just be added to my pay and I'll go out of
Or
network?
HSA, FSA, and we see that a lot too, that a lot of people feel like they have to get an individual plan, that not from their employer. And a lot of times when people ask me their my advice on that, I'm like, be really careful what you're buying, because I feel like they have to have insurance so badly that they're almost sometimes paying more to that benefit provider to have restricted care than they would if they just took that particular money and use it to invest in themselves.
Well, it happens a lot. People don't
Mm-hmm.
realize that sometimes they're paying into this benefit more than they're actually getting out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I have heard that the reimbursements and the max that people can really get out of their dental health benefits, it hasn't really increased in many, many years. It hasn't kept up with inflation.
No.
There hasn't been any effort really to make this a helpful benefit.
And at the end of the day, then what are you getting? Because the average max is about $1,500. I
Hmm.
mean, and that really hasn't changed in almost 40 years. And you know, back then you could get a lot of dental work done for that amount of money. Right now, I mean, that's barely covering maybe one major procedure because of inflation, and it just hasn't kept up. So And a lot of the other things that they put in restrictions on specific procedures that you have to have had this benefit plan for a while. So I get a
Hmm.
lot of patients really excited. Oh, I got this individual plan, blah, blah, blah. And then they can't have major work for a year or two. So now you're
Hmm.
stuck paying for this plan, and you're paying more than you would have just gotten for your, if you had paid out of pocket.
Absolutely. And another thing that I see is people assuming that because they don't have insurance, that they can't afford dentistry. And
Correct.
what they really don't realize is there are financing options, just like if you go and were to buy a car, invest in a
Mm-hmm.
new cell phone or something that you're going to use every day. Well, you use your teeth every day too. And they're
And
they're connected to your oral health is connected to your whole body, your whole health. And it's something, in my opinion, to prioritize.
mm-hmm.
But just know, to those people listening, if you don't have dental health benefits, there are still ways to get this done, even if you take it
Yes.
one bit at a time,
Mm-hmm.
and to come up with a plan so that at least you know the path.
My really lovely assistant, she always says to me, she goes, people don't understand that dentistry isn't expensive. When you fail to keep up with the dentistry, that's when it becomes expensive. If you don't get your cleaning, I always say the cleanings, they're not really car washes, they're oil changes. You really need that maintenance. And if that's the minimum you need to do to really know where you are in your dental health. So like you said, maybe to see a path forward. Maybe there's something kind of on the eventual list. Well, then at least you have the information, you have the education on what it would take to get there. You know what type of finances you are looking for, so you're able to plan and budget. And
Yeah,
I see a lot of new patients. They're worried they have a lot going on, and then I get in there and I said, no, you just merely need a good cleaning, and just maybe one thing going on. And I feel like as an unrestricted provider, we're not looking for work. We're
right.
looking to give you a dental home. We're looking to give you dental security so that you feel like when we give you a recommendation, that it's really what we feel like is in your best interest. A lot of times I tell my patients, look, this is what I would tell my son, my husband, my mom, my family is the same recommendation that I give to you. I mean,
Yeah.
I actually still have patients that have been treated by me, my dad, and my grandpa, and we see we see three generations of dental treatment. And one lovely gentleman, he's always saying how well we've taken care of him, and I feel like this is part of it. And he's never had dental insurance, never.
Yep. 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 Well, and another thing that people need to know too, and I just know this because I know you. I know you.
Okay.
And I think that any of our viewers who are considering calling you need to know this about you. There is not, you are the most relatable, you are the most funny, you are the most down to earth person, one of the most that I've ever met in my life. So if somebody is on the fence,
Mm.
right, about calling you because they feel like, it's been a long time, I'm embarrassed,
Oh
I'm not
no.
comfortable. I just want to go out and say here, they should call you because I know you will put them instantly at ease, and that is just a part of who you are.
Well,
So,
I always say we're the no judgment zone. I don't care that it's been whatever. You're here now. We're here to take care of you now. I'm your oral health coach. Even when I do, the whole joke is, dentists ask if you're flossing and they know we're done. Even it is, I just want to say, what can I do to help you? I don't care. I mean, I want you to be healthy, but it doesn't affect me whether you floss or not. I want you to be healthy. I want you to, if you're getting it in there and all, get your best technique, you know,
yes, yes.
you
But
know,
it's not from a place of like shame and guilt. It is not.
no.
And I think that's why you've been able to be so successful for so many years. And by successful, I mean you have so many patients who are just fiercely loyal to you, and really trust is at the core of that. And part of that is because you are not restricted and not being told how to practice. It frees you up to always put the patient first and the needs of the
Mhm.
patient first. So, Dr. Goldemom, anything you want to leave us with today?
No, I just, you know what? I just want to let everyone know. I mean, I enjoy doing this with Grace, but I really love teeth. My husband jokes my Patronus is a toothbrush.
That's so funny. Well, and I just want to encourage our listeners, and your community to reach out, schedule with you, and experience the difference of what it means to see an unrestricted provider. I think they're going to be very happy with the experience and be really surprised at, again, how much they truly are able to utilize their benefits,
Hmm.
but receive a higher quality of care. So
Hmm.
thank you so much, Dr. Goldenbaum.
Thank you so much, Grace.
I
Hmm.
appreciate you being here. And to all of our listeners, thanks for following along, and I will see you next time.